The young soldier stood at attention inside the grand hall of the colony ship. The walls were high, built of shining metal and glowing blue lines. Every echo of boots, every whisper of uniforms, carried the weight of fear. This was not an ordinary meeting. This was something different, something heavy, something dangerous. His name was Aaron Hale, just 19 years old. He had trained for war, he had trained to obey orders. But this order felt strange. The commander's voice was sharp. Like steel cutting the air, you will salute, and you will not stop until you are dismissed. Aaron's chest grew tight. Why such an order? Why such a warning? Soldiers saluted every day, but never like this. Never with such fear in the voice of a commander. The others in the hall avoided his eyes. Some looked at the floor. Some looked at the doors. Nobody dared to speak. Then the sound came, soft at first. Like the sweep of fabric against metal, a figure walked into the hall. Slow, calm, and almost too quiet. Every soldier straightened. Every officer froze. The air felt heavier. As if the ship itself was holding its breath. It was her, the ambassador. The one everyone whispered about, the one they feared. Her face was hidden behind a thin veil of silver. Her long skirt brushed the ground, shining faintly with strange symbols. She looked human, but not fully. Her movement was too smooth, her presence too sharp. Like something more than human, Aaron's commander gave the order again. Louder this time. Salute, soldier, and do not break eye contact. Aaron raised his hand to his forehead. His arm shook slightly, though he tried to keep it steady. His eyes locked on her as she walked closer. Her gaze was cold and endless. It felt like staring into deep space where no stars could be seen. The hall was silent except for the sound of her steps. One by one, her heels clicked against the metal floor. Every sound cut through the silence like thunder. Aaron wanted to swallow. But his throat was dry. He wanted to look away. But he remembered the warning. Do not break eye contact. His heart pounded harder with every step she took. He felt heat in his chest, pressure in his head. It was as if unseen hands pressed against his body. She was not touching him, but he felt controlled. He had never felt so small, so powerless. Behind him, officers whispered. He could not hear the words clearly, but he caught fragments. She has returned. She was chosen. Pray he survives. Aaron's mind spun. Chosen, returned, survived. What did they mean? Why was he the one standing here? Why was he ordered to salute her? This was not respect. This was not ceremony. This felt like a test. The ambassador stopped just a few steps away. Her veil moved slightly as if a soft wind touched it. But there was no wind in the hall. Only her strange power. Her eyes locked with his. And in that moment, Aaron knew. She could see everything, every memory, every thought. Every weakness inside him. He tried to breathe steady. He tried to be a soldier, strong and brave. But his hand shook harder against his forehead. The salute was turning into a prison. He could not lower his arm. He could not move, he could only stare. Her voice came at last, low and soft. Do you know why you salute me, soldier? The sound did not echo like normal voices. It went inside his head, deep into his mind. He wanted to answer. But his throat was locked. He wanted to run, but his legs were frozen. The commander shouted from behind. Hold your salute, Hale. Do not break. Aaron's heart hammered faster. He felt sweat on his skin, cold and heavy. The hall felt like a cage closing around him. She took one step closer. Her skirt brushed the ground. The glowing marks along its edge seemed to shift and move, like they were alive, like they were watching. Aaron's eyes widened. For a moment, he thought he saw the symbols burn brighter, like they were speaking in a language only she could hear. Her voice came again. You salute because you are human, and humanity must learn. The words were strange. Cold and final, Aaron's heart froze. This was not a greeting, not an honor. This was something else, something darker. The order was simple, salute, but the meaning behind it was not simple at all. He was standing at the edge of something he did not understand. He was standing at the edge of fate itself, and he could feel it. Whatever was coming, it would change everything. The hall was still heavy like a frozen lake. Aaron's arm burned as he held the salute, his muscles screaming for rest. The commander's warning echoed in his head. Do not break eye contact. But how could he hold it when her presence pressed against his mind like a storm? The ambassador stopped in front of him. Just a few steps away, her veil shimmered faintly, silver threads catching the glow of the lights. She raised her head slightly as if she was studying him. The silence stretched too long. Every soldier in the hall could feel it. The air was not air anymore, it was tension. Alive and cruel, and then, without a word, she moved her hand. Slowly, calmly, she gripped the fabric of her long silver skirt. The hall seemed to tremble at that simple motion. No one breathed, no one dared to blink. Erin's eyes widened as she lifted the skirt slightly. Not in a gesture of shame, not in modesty, but as if she wanted to reveal something hidden beneath. The fabric slid upward, smooth as water, and beneath it, there were marks, glowing softly against her skin. They were not tattoos, not scars, they were alive, shifting like fire written in lines and circles. Symbols burned across her legs, glowing with a cold light. The patterns moved like rivers of energy, changing shape as he stared. Erin's salute trembled, he could not look away. His mind was locked on the light. A whisper spread through the ranks behind him. "She shows the marks," someone muttered. "She dares again," another whispered. Voices cracked with fear. Erin felt his skin crawl. What were they seeing that made hardened officers shake like children? The ambassador's voice came, quiet but sharp. "You wonder, soldier. You wonder what these symbols are." Erin's throat tightened. He could not answer, but his heart shouted yes. Yes, he wondered. Yes, he feared. She tilted her head and her veil shifted slightly. Erin thought he saw a flash of her eyes, bright and inhuman. "Long ago I was like you," she said, "a soldier, a human, with blood and weakness." Her hand brushed the glowing lines as if they were chains. "But then they came and they changed me." Erin's chest tightened. Changed, chosen, cursed, he did not know the right word. But he felt the power in her voice. She was not lying. No human could hold that kind of weight in their body. The symbols pulsed brighter, and Erin felt something enter his head. Not words, not sound, but visions. Planets burning, ships torn apart, shadows crawling across the stars, and always, humans kneeling before creatures too large, too strange to fight. He gasped softly, but his salute did not fall. Her power locked him in place. The visions passed, leaving cold sweat on his face. She had shown him war, not his war, but hers. A war older than his life, older than his world. The skirt slipped lower for a moment, hiding the marks again. But then she pulled it higher, revealing more symbols. The officers behind him gasped, some stepping back. One even dropped his weapon by mistake. The sound of metal hitting the floor rang loud and ugly in the silence. Her voice turned colder. "These marks are not beauty, not pride," she said. "They are chains, they bind me to them. The ones who rule in the dark." Erin's salute trembled harder. His arm was numb, his mind racing. He felt both fear and pity. This woman, this thing, was both prisoner and master. The commander barked again, trying to sound strong. "Hold your salute, soldier. Do not break," but his voice cracked, betraying fear. Erin realized even the commander was afraid. Even the commander did not understand her power fully. The ambassador turned her head slightly. Her gaze swept over the room. Every soldier lowered their eyes. Only Erin remained locked in her stare, because he had no choice. She spoke again, soft but cutting. "Do you know why I lift the skirt, soldier?" Her question filled the air like thunder. Erin's heart pounded, his lips were dry. His throat closed, but deep inside he felt the answer was not for him alone. It was for all of humanity. The skirt lowered once more. Covering the symbols, the light vanished, leaving only the cold silver fabric. But the memory of the glow burned in Erin's eyes. He could still see the marks even when they were gone, like scars written into his own mind. She leaned closer, her voice now a whisper in his ear. "You salute me because I am the bridge, soldier, between your kind and theirs." Her words slid into his chest like knives, and Erin knew, whatever she carried, it was too heavy for one person. But now she had placed part of it on him. The hall remained silent. No one dared move, and Erin stood frozen, his arm still raised, his heart still racing. The skirt had fallen back into place, but the damage was done. Every soul in the room had seen what should not be seen, and none of them would ever forget. The hall was quiet, but the silence was heavy. Erin still held his salute, though his arm ached like fire. The silver skirt had lowered, hiding the glowing symbols, but the memory of them burned in his mind. He could still see their light even with his eyes closed. The ambassador did not move. She stood calm, tall, her veil shimmering softly. The soldiers behind Erin dared not breathe too loud. It was as if the entire room was chained by her presence. And yet beneath that silence a whisper spread. It came from the officers, from the guards. From the shadows in the corners of the hall, a whisper Aaron was never meant to hear. But he heard it, faint, broken, filled with fear. She was taken. She was chosen. She carries their secret. She is not fully human anymore. Aaron's heart jumped. Not human anymore, the words circled his head like cold knives. He wanted to turn, to ask, to demand answers. But his body was locked in the salute. His eyes were chained to hers. The ambassador's voice cut through the air. "You wonder what they say, soldier." Aaron's breath caught. She could hear the whispers, too. Or maybe she could hear his thoughts. "Do not fear their words," she continued. "They are true." A shiver ran down Aaron's back. True, she admitted it, she was not fully human. But what was she then? What had been done to her? She stepped closer. Her shadow stretched across his boots. Her voice was calm but heavy. "I was once like you," she said. "A soldier who obeyed orders. A soldier who fought for the colony." Her words felt like chains breaking in the air. "But they took me far from this place into the dark between stars." Aaron's chest tightened. He wanted to ask who they were, but his throat was closed. His salute trapped him in silence. Her veil shifted as she spoke. "I was offered a choice. Serve them or die in their hands." The whispering behind Aaron grew louder. Some soldiers muttered prayers. Others cursed under their breath. Everyone knew what them meant, the alien masters. The empire that bent planets into chains. The ones humans feared but rarely saw. She continued, "I chose to live, and in living, I became this." She touched the skirt again, pressing her hand against where the glowing marks had been. "They burned their language into my skin, their power into my bones." Her voice lowered, almost a whisper. "And with it, their secret." Aaron's breath came fast. The secret. It was more than power, more than pain. It was knowledge. And knowledge was always dangerous. Her eyes locked into his. "You want to know?" "Don't you?" she said. Aaron's body screamed yes, but his voice could not escape. The salute held him silent, trapped between duty and fear. The ambassador leaned closer. "You must understand." "Soldier," she whispered, "the secret is not only mine to carry. It belongs to all of humanity." Her words sent a cold wave through Aaron's chest. If what she carried was for all humans, why was she standing here alone? Why was he the one chosen to face her? Behind him, an officer whispered too loud, "Do not believe her, she is cursed. She will bring ruin." The commander barked back, "Silence, all of you." But Aaron heard the fear in his voice. Even the commander did not know the full truth. Even he was afraid. The ambassador's gaze grew sharper. Her voice cut like a blade. "They fear me because I know what is coming," she said. "They fear me because I carry the memory of wars your kind cannot even dream of." Her eyes burned brighter through the veil. "And they fear me because the secret I carry could free you or destroy you." Aaron's salute trembled again. His arm burned, but now his mind burned more. What kind of secret could hold such power? What kind of truth could make commanders and officers afraid? He felt the weight of it pressing into him, like she was ready to place it on his shoulders. The ambassador whispered again, almost too soft to hear. "They chained me, but they did not break me." Her hand pressed against her skirt once more. "You saw the marks. You saw the truth burning under my skin." She stepped closer until her voice filled only his ears. "The secret is not only what they gave me, soldier. The secret is what I took from them." Aaron's heart stopped for a moment. What she took from them, it was not only chains, not only power forced on her. She had stolen something back. Something the Empire wanted hidden. Something that could change the fate of humans forever. The hall remained silent. Every soldier held their breath. Aaron's salute remained frozen, his arm trembling like fire. But in his chest, a storm had begun. He had seen the marks, he had heard her truth, and now, the secret was not just hers. It was his too. The hall was silent. But Aaron's mind was screaming. His salute still held, his muscles weak, his arm heavy like stone. The ambassador's words burned inside his chest. She had spoken of a secret, a stolen truth, and now he felt it pressing against him. As if she wanted to pour it into his very soul, she took one step closer, the silver of her skirt brushing the floor. The strange marks beneath the fabric pulsed faintly. Like heartbeats hidden in the dark, Aaron felt heat rising in his chest. He wanted to look away, but his eyes were trapped in hers. It was like drowning in a deep ocean with no air. The commander's voice cracked from behind. Hold the salute, Hale. Do not break. But his words sounded small, weak. Even the commander's authority felt powerless before her. The ambassador tilted her head. Do you think you are strong, soldier? She asked softly. Her voice was not like a question. It was like a blade slipping into his thoughts. Aaron's lips were dry. He wanted to answer, but he could not speak. The salute locked his body still. Her veil shimmered as she leaned closer. Strength is not muscle, not orders, not obedience, she whispered. Strength is will. The hall darkened as if her words pulled the light away. Aaron's heartbeat grew louder, echoing in his skull. Will? That was what she wanted from him. She raised her hand, slow and calm. Her fingers touched the edge of her skirt again. The soldiers behind him gasped. Some even stepped back. But this time she did not lift it high. She only pressed her palm against the glowing marks hidden underneath. And in that moment, Aaron's mind exploded with visions. The world around him vanished. The hall, the soldiers, the commander, all gone. He was standing in a battlefield of fire. The sky was torn apart by alien ships. The ground shook as machines crawled across burning ruins. Humans ran, screamed, fell, and above them, creatures of shadow towered. Their voices were thunder. Their eyes like knives. Aaron tried to move, but he was frozen. The air was fire, the ground was ash. He looked up and saw a human army saluting the creatures. Kneeling, bending, broken. They saluted not in respect but in fear, and he felt the same pain in his chest, the same order forced on them. The ambassador's voice echoed inside his skull. This is the test, soldier. He spun, searching for her. But she was not standing before him. She was everywhere. Her voice came from the flames, from the sky, from inside his bones. Your body obeys, but your will decides, Aaron gasped, his arms still frozen in salute. The fire around him roared higher. The shadows closed in, whispering in alien tongues. One reached for him, claws sharp and endless. His heart pounded, his body screamed to run, but his legs refused to move. The voice returned, louder this time. Will you obey them? Or will you resist? The claws were closer. The shadows crawling over his boots, the salute held him still. He wanted to drop his arm, he wanted to break free. But something inside him feared, what if he failed? What if lowering his salute meant death? The ambassador's whisper pressed deeper. Strength is not in the arm that salutes, she said. It is in the heart that chooses. The shadow's claws reached for his chest, and for one terrible moment, Aaron felt it touch his skin. The pain was sharp. Burning like lightning, he almost screamed. But then he remembered her words, Will. With all the fire inside him, Aaron shouted in his mind. No. The word shook the air. The claws stopped. The shadows recoiled. The salute finally broke. His arm dropped to his side. And suddenly the battlefield of fire shattered into dust. Aaron gasped as the hall returned. His knees almost gave way. He was back, surrounded by soldiers. The commander and her, the ambassador, stood before him, calm, her veil hiding her face, her hand still pressed against her skirt. The marks glowed faintly, fading slowly into silence. The commander's voice rang out. Furious and broken, you dropped the salute. Hail! His anger echoed in the hall. But there was fear in it too. Aaron's chest heaved with breath, sweat dripping from his face. He wanted to speak, but before he could, the ambassador's voice cut in. No, Commander, she said. Her tone was cold, sharp, final. He did not fail. He resisted. Every soldier froze, even the commander went silent. Her veil tilted toward Aaron. For the first time, I see, Will, she whispered, and that is the beginning of strength. Aaron's heart pounded. He had broken the order. He had dropped the salute. But somehow in her eyes he had passed. The test was not about obedience, it was about resistance. And now he realized this was only the first step. The true challenge was still waiting, hidden in the shadows beyond the stars. Aaron's arm dropped, his salute broken, his body shaking with exhaustion. The hall was silent. Every soldier staring in shock. The commander's face was red with fury, but his eyes betrayed fear. Aaron had disobeyed an order, and yet the ambassador had called it strength. The young soldier's chest heaved, his breath sharp and uneven. He felt like he had fallen into fire and climbed out again. But the battle had not ended. It had only shifted, because now every eye in the room was fixed on him, and the weight of their fear pressed harder than any salute ever could. The ambassador stepped closer. Her skirt brushed the floor, the hidden marks beneath glowing faintly. Her voice slipped into the hall like cold wind. "Now comes the choice, soldier," she said. "You have tasted the chains they put on me. You have seen the shadows, the war, the kneeling of your kind." Her words were heavy, wrapping around him like iron. "You must decide where you stand." Aaron's throat was dry. His mind screamed with questions, but his voice could not rise. The commander found his voice first. "Do not listen to her." "Hail," he barked. "She is cursed. She belongs to them. She will twist you." His voice grew louder. "Desperate, you are a soldier of the colony. Your loyalty is to humanity, not to her lies." Aaron's head spun. His loyalty. What did it mean now? He had trained his whole life to follow orders, to obey, to protect. But in her presence, the orders felt small, fragile. She had shown him visions of humans broken, kneeling, saluting shadows, and the commander's words could not erase what he had seen. The ambassador raised her hand. The hall grew colder, her presence filling every corner. She did not need to shout. Her whisper carried louder than the commander's roar. "They will tell you to obey, to kneel, to salute forever," she said. "But I offer you something else, not safety, not comfort. But truth." Aaron's heart pounded. "Truth." The word struck him harder than any weapon. What was truth worth? Could truth save humanity? Or would it destroy it? The soldiers behind him muttered. Some cursed him, others prayed softly. One whispered, "He must choose, or we are doomed." Aaron felt sweat run down his face. The choice was not only his, it was for all of them. The commander stepped forward, his boots slamming against the floor. "Hail, I command you. Ignore her, remain loyal." "Stand down." His voice shook the hall, but then the ambassador leaned closer. Her veil brushed the air between them. Her words were soft, but they pierced like fire. "If you stay loyal to them, your people will kneel forever. If you follow me, you may burn, but you may also rise." Aaron's breath caught. His mind fought against itself. Loyalty or rebellion, obedience or freedom. The weight of choice pressed harder than chains. Images flashed in his head, visions she had shown him. Humans broken, saluting shadows. But then another image came, a spark, a hand raised not in salute, but in defiance. He did not know if it was real, or if she had placed it there, but it burned brighter than fear. His legs shook, his heart thundered for the first time in his life. He realized that orders were not enough. Obedience would not save him. Obedience would not save humanity, and yet, rebellion could destroy everything too. The ambassador whispered again, "This is the moment, soldier. This is the edge of your fate. Step toward me, and you step into war, step away, and you remain a servant. Choose." Aaron's knees almost buckled under the weight. He looked at the commander. He looked at the ambassador. Two paths stretched before him, both dark, both filled with danger. One promised safety through chains, the other promised freedom through fire. The hall waited. The soldiers held their breath. Even the commander did not move now. All of them watched the young soldier. All of them waited for the choice of one boy to shape the fate of many. Aaron closed his eyes, his heart screamed, his body trembled. And when he opened them again, he spoke, not loud, but strong enough for all to hear. "I will not kneel," he said. His voice cracked, but his will held. "I will not be their servant." Gasps filled the hall. The commander shouted in fury, "You betray us." "Hail." But the ambassador's veil shifted slightly, and Aaron thought he saw her smile. "You have chosen," she whispered, "and now the true war begins." The hall shook as alarms blared through the ship. Red lights flashed across the walls. Voices shouted, boots thundered outside. The sound of engines roared like the breath of giants. Something was coming, something vast and terrible. Aaron stood frozen. The choice was made, but the cost of that choice had only begun to reveal itself. The alarm screamed across the hall, red light flashing against steel walls. Soldiers shouted orders, boots hammered the floor, but all the noise seemed far away to Aaron. He stood frozen, his chest heaving, his choice still heavy in the air. "I will not kneel," he had said, and those words felt like chains breaking, but they also felt like fire, dangerous, burning, unstoppable. The commander's face twisted with rage. "You fool," he barked. "You have doomed us all." His voice cracked as the alarms howled louder. But before Aaron could answer, the ambassador stepped forward. Her presence cut through the noise like a blade through glass. Her veil shimmered. Her skirt brushed the floor. The marks beneath glowing faint again. She raised her hand and the hall fell silent. Not because the alarms had stopped, but because every soldier froze. Her voice rose above everything, calm yet heavy with power. "The war has already begun," she said. Her words carried across the hall like thunder. "You think this is new, Commander, but the war has been waiting for you. It has been waiting for all of humanity." The commander's jaw clenched, his hand gripping his weapon tight. "You speak poison," he snapped. "You twist the boy's mind." But the ambassador turned her gaze toward Aaron. Ignoring the commander's anger, her voice lowered, sharp and cold. "It is time you learn the truth, soldier." "The truth they keep hidden." Aaron's heart pounded. His skin cold with sweat, he wanted to speak, but her words drowned his thoughts. Her hand moved to her skirt again, and slowly, with calm precision, she lifted it higher. This time she did not reveal only the glowing marks on her legs. She revealed more. Lines and symbols that stretched up her body, the light pouring from them brighter, stronger, alive. Gasps filled the hall. Some soldiers dropped their weapons, others whispered prayers. The commander shouted, "Do not look. Avert your eyes." But nobody could look away, not Aaron, not the soldiers, not even the commander himself. The marks burned like fire, twisting, shifting, forming strange shapes. And then Aaron realized they were not random. They were maps, not of planets, not of cities, but of something far greater. Star maps, routes across galaxies, pathways hidden in the dark. The ambassador's voice filled the air again. "They gave me their language, their chains, but in it I found their secrets." Her hand brushed against the glowing lines. "These marks are not only symbols, they are keys. Keys to their empire, their war, their weakness." Aaron's breath caught. Weakness. The word struck through him like lightning. The empire, the shadows, the ones who enslaved and ruled, they had a weakness, and she carried it on her skin. The commander's face went pale. "You dare reveal this," he hissed. "You would destroy us all." But the ambassador shook her head slowly. "No, Commander, it is not destruction, it is choice." She turned to Aaron, her voice softer now. "You must see, soldier, why they fear me," she said. "They do not fear my power, they fear what I know. The Empire demands obedience. But I carry the proof that they can bleed, and if they can bleed, they can be broken," the soldiers muttered, fear clashing with hope. Some looked at Aaron as if he had already chosen their fate. The weight pressed against his chest again, heavier than before. He had not only chosen rebellion, he had chosen to carry her secret. The secret that could end the Empire or destroy humanity in the attempt. The ambassador's voice wrapped around him. "They marked me to bind me, but I turned their marks into weapons. Weapons that only humans can use. Because humans are different. Humans endure. Humans resist. Humans rise." Her words shook Aaron to the core. HFY, humans are special. That truth rang inside him, not arrogance, not pride, but survival. The Empire had underestimated them, and she had turned that underestimation into rebellion. The commander raised his weapon, fury blazing in his eyes. "You will silence your lies," he shouted. But the ambassador raised her hand. The glowing marks flared bright, and the weapon melted in his grip. Metal dripping like liquid fire to the floor, the commander fell back, trembling, his eyes wide with terror. The hall was silent again, every soldier staring at her glowing form. Aaron's breath came hard, his heart pounding. He realized now she was not here to enslave them. She was here to awaken them. The marks, the chains, the power, the secret. They were not curses, they were revelations. She lowered her skirt slowly, the glow fading back into silver fabric. Her voice calmed, but her words cut deep. "You know now, soldier," she whispered. "You know why I lifted the skirt, why I showed you the marks. You know why they ordered you to salute me." Aaron swallowed hard. Yes, he knew. The salute had not been respect. It had been recognition. He had been ordered to salute her because she carried the truth. And now that truth had been given to him, it was no longer hers alone. It was his burden too. Outside, the alarms grew louder. The ship shook as explosions echoed from beyond the walls. The war was here, and there was no turning back. Aaron clenched his fists, his choice burning in his chest. The revelation had come, and with it, the beginning of humanity's fight for freedom. The ship trembled like a living beast. Alarms wailed through the corridors, red light pulsing like a heartbeat of doom. Aaron stood in the hall, his fists clenched, the revelation burning in his chest. The ambassador's glowing marks had faded under her skirt, but their memory still blazed in his mind. He knew now. Humans were not slaves, not pawns, not weak. They could rise, but only if they fought. The commander staggered back, his melted weapons smoking at his feet. His eyes filled with both fury and terror. "You've doomed us," he spat, his voice breaking. "You've handed him the fire and it will consume us all." But the ambassador only turned, her veil hiding her expression. "No," she whispered, her words like steel. "This is not doom. Commander, this is the beginning." The hall shook again, dust falling from the high steel beams. Explosions rattled the ship, the sound of battle echoing beyond the walls. Aaron's ears rang with the thunder of distant war. The soldiers around him looked at one another, fear in their faces. Some gripped their weapons tighter, others looked ready to run. But all of them waited, frozen, waiting for someone to lead. The ambassador's eyes fixed on Aaron. "You chose not to kneel," she said, her voice carrying above the chaos. "Now you must choose again. Will you hide or will you fight?" Aaron's throat tightened, his chest heavy. He was only 19, a soldier trained to follow orders. He had never commanded, never led. But in this moment, he felt every gaze on him, every heart waiting for his answer. The commander roared, desperate. "Do not listen, Hale. She is a weapon. She will drag you into ruin." But Aaron shook his head, his voice finally breaking free. "No, Commander," he said, his words trembling but firm. "I saw the truth. I saw what she showed me. They can bleed, they can fall, and we will not kneel." Gasps spread through the soldiers. Some muttered in disbelief, others nodded slowly. For the first time, hope flickered in their eyes, small, fragile but alive. The ambassador raised her hand. The marks beneath her skirt pulsed faintly. She stepped forward, her voice rising. "Then the war begins now," she said. "You must leave this hall, soldier. You must face what waits beyond." The ship groaned. The floor shuddered. A massive boom shook the walls. Through the high windows, Aaron glimpsed fire across the stars. Alien warships loomed outside, shadows vast and endless. Their weapons lit the void with death. The colony ship was under siege, and humanity's fight had begun. Aaron's legs trembled, but he stepped forward. His boots echoed against the floor, every step heavier than the last. He looked back once at the soldiers, most still frozen in fear, but a few raised their weapons with new resolve. They looked at him not as a boy, but as something more, something he never thought he could be. The ambassador's voice followed him, soft but sharp. "They will test you again, soldier. Not your arm, not your salute, but your will. And when that test comes, you must remember you chose not to kneel," the commander snarled. "You will kill us all." But Aaron did not turn back. He pushed the doors open, the sound of alarms and battle flooding in. The corridor outside burned with smoke and sparks. The war was no longer waiting. It was here, alive, roaring through steel and fire. Aaron clenched his fists, his heart pounding with fear and fire. He knew he was not ready. He knew he was still just one soldier. But he also knew something greater. He had made his choice, and in that choice humanity had taken its first step. Not in obedience, not in chains, but in defiance. The ship shook again. A voice over the comms cried out, "Alien boarders on deck 3, breach in progress." Aaron's blood ran cold, but he did not stop. He ran toward the sound, not away but forward, toward the fire, toward the test, toward the future. Behind him the soldiers began to move. Some followed, some hesitated, but none could forget his words. The ambassador remained in the hall, silent, her marks glowing faint beneath the fabric, her voice whispering to herself, "It begins." Aaron's boots hammered the corridor, his lungs burning with each breath. Smoke stung his eyes, shouts echoed through the air, and as the first explosion tore through the deck, he braced himself. He was no longer only a soldier, he was a choice, a spark, a beginning. The war had begun, and for the first time humanity was not kneeling, it was rising.